for the fantasy football fans out there,
Mhm.
you talk a lot about fantasy football. For the newcomers, first year, second year, and even third year, you're still brand new and you're still trying to learn the ropes, the in and outs of fantasy football. What
Mhm.
what advice can you give for the newcomers, the beginners of fantasy football at this time of year when there's only 3, 4 more weeks left, depending on how the fantasy football league is going on with their current leagues? 3 to 4 weeks left. They're trying to make it into the playoffs. What advice can you give them to get into playoffs and try to make a run?
Absolutely. So let me start with the general advice. I'll get into specific for right now. The general advice is don't get trapped in the names around it. This is a game of statistics. So the volume is always king. So just because ESPN is writing all these hype stories or fluff pieces, that doesn't make you win. Mike, you answered before about how you're doing Vegas stuff. Some of the best stuff in beating the sports books is when the national media just has to get it wrong because they don't give a downside. They hype someone up that are going to be the greatest thing ever. They get clicks. If Vegas goes and gets a line wrong, they lose millions. So really, where should you be listening? And that's one of our starting points is find truly credible knowledge sources that are going to give you meaningful answers. And it is in the sports books. That's really how we derive our information in the first point, but it's not from player props, which there's a lot of crazy math I'm not going to get into right now. But the answer first and foremost is do not just follow the hype and the names. Actually dive into the statistics. Now, that being said, talking this second in time, I'm trying to fight to get on the edge. I need to get into the playoffs. Two things to look out for. You have to be very cognizant of what you believe your cut line for making the playoffs are going to be. If you are already feeling that you are comfortably in there, it is totally okay to reach out one of these players who are prime studs, but we don't know who are coming back. My prize jewel for that is Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving's playoff run is immaculate for fantasy football, but you have to be able to absorb the fact you might lose a couple weeks until he comes back to full strength. That's fine. Are you trying to win the whole thing or just get in? Your record right now dictates that. So if you're right on the bubble, you can't be traded away a starter to go get Bucky. But if you're comfortably in, go get Bucky, go win the championship. And that's one of the things I recommend is look at teams and other rosters within your league that are in win now mode, but they're holding someone who just can't help them right now. Like the owner of Chase. If that guy is in win now mode, yeah, he will sell you Chase for George Pickens. And that is a steal throughout the rest of it because they got to win right now. And that's the kinds of things to look at right now as far as the opportunities that go through. And then, of course, on the waiver wire, you certainly want to be running out and getting the players when there's an injured running back in front of them. If Warren doesn't play, Gainwell is a home run smash start. But that all comes down to injury, and you probably really don't know that until Saturday. So do your waiver claims accordingly. A little bit speculation, but that's the starting point.
Yeah, my best waiver this year was Rico Dotto. Right when they said that Hubba was gonna take a little step back or whatever, like I think it was like a month ago, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick up Dotto just in case, just have him on the bench. And next thing you know, started him, and he went like 3 weeks ballistic, scoring over 20 points each week.
Yeah, and for running backs, that's one of the good concepts that I bring up because there are some threads of when you can see a running back's going to go off. In general, they have a very bad quarterback, Arizona, and they end up going off. I mean, it doesn't matter who the running back is in Arizona, they're going to perform because the quarterback can't do anything. I have a Mount Rushmore of people you never want to have on your fantasy football team, and Kyler Murray is by far the top of that list. So just a full disclosure for all of you guys who've seen me hate on Kyler 5 million times.
I've fallen for the trap before.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence is another one. Trevor Lawrence is
literally makes this because I watched the All-22. He literally makes the same mistakes today that he made as a rookie that he made at Oklahoma. Like the guy has not progressed. He's the only player in NFL history that has watched less film than Johnny Manziel, and that's only because Johnny Manziel watched highlights of Johnny Manziel. Like that's it. So when you look at it, like that's what we're dealing with here. So, but to answer your question, yeah, you definitely want to go pick up players, running backs especially, on teams that have underperforming quarterbacks. Which, if you look around the fantasy world, with the exception of really Henry last year, there's a pretty direct straight line across the board of what these quarterbacks are actually doing on the field and what their corresponding quarterback is. And that's why Carolina is a perfect example. Bryce Young doesn't deliver, so they have to hand it off. And could potentially be something telling about what's going on in Green Bay, which, by the way, that's another smash grab. Go get Wilson, because they've been relying on the running game a lot, and it's worth keeping into.
Yeah, so another question I wanted to ask you, because you're mainly saying a lot about fantasy here. Do you have a preference of which kind of style of fantasy game do you like to play? You know, best ball, guillotine. The guillotine thing is kind of getting more popular. It sounds kind of fun. I've got a chance to try one yet. Have you? Do you got any preference on what you like to do? To standard, PPR?
So we really do it all. I mean, like I said, in the offseason, DraftKings in particular comes out with so many different variants of best ball, which are really fun for content, because between them and Underdog, they keep fighting about different versions. And the only real difference between DraftKings and Underdogs, one's PPR, one's half PPR. But otherwise, I don't really have a preference. I like the fact that there's always different game setups. For instance, Underdog had one that they call their Survivor, where half the people got eliminated every single week and you were in a one-on-one matchup the whole time. That was really cool. I like that. I mean, I'm a sucker for the big ones. I can't say I'm not. A lot of best ball manias. But for my personal leagues that I'm in, for my redrafts, I love auction leagues. I think that they are amazing. And the reason for that is you're engaged the whole time. You never check out. And you can build the team you want. And if you end up getting 3 first-rounders, you might not have the rest of the roster. But you got to play that waiver wire accordingly. It's just a different way of playing. So my personal favorite is the auction style. But for gambling, it's best ball. I prefer best ball over DSF or DFS.